Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Working on the Dad Pod. I am Ethan and this is Alex. And we're just gonna get right into things. Today we're gonna be talking about morning routines. But as usual, we're gonna start with our highs and lows. So Alex, what was your high this week?
Well, my high was actually pretty awesome. My daughter, she is scared of everything. She can psych herself into being scared of just about anything. You give her enough
Same.
time and enough bandwidth, she can be scared of riding a bike with training wheels that she's going to fall off it. She can be scared of dunking her head underwater in a pool. And so on Tuesday morning, she spends the day with my mother-in-law, and they like to go to playgrounds around us. And so we've been there's a lot of playgrounds around us between me and my mother-in-law, who lives about 20 minutes away. And so we've been trying to switch it up, right? So that she doesn't get fatigued because she seems to get bored with the same spot. So I recommended this one playground that we hadn't been to for like 2 years. And the reason we hadn't been there was because it's a very intricate playground, but it's got like a jungle gym that's made entirely out of like ropes that you can climb or like bands. It's got rock walls. It's got three-story tube slides. Like it's intense. And we took her there as a 2-year-old and she couldn't do any of it. It wasn't because she was scared, it's because she was two. And it
Right.
was also because we took her on a Saturday morning. And so there were a bunch of like 10 and 11-year-old little boys
Dude, I
who were
hate that
acting
age
like
group.
they were acting like they were acting like they were stunt doubles in a Marvel movie, right?
They're the
And just
worst. We have big kids at our playground. They stink.
every time they come, I mean, I've legitimately seen like 13 and up guys just like at our local playground where the toddlers are playing, like jump the fence to impress the girl they're with. And I'm like, buddy, that fence is like 3 feet high. I don't know if that's what's going to do it for her. But so we hadn't taken her back for those reasons. But a Tuesday morning, it was really chill. We're driving into the parking lot and she's like, Dad, I'm scared. No shocker. I said, What are you scared of? And she said, I'm really scared of like the jungle gym and the rock walls and doing all that stuff. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. All those things start off really close to the ground. You take one step onto the rock wall, then you take another. And if you're not feeling it, you can reach back down to the ground. Same with the jungle gym, right? And
Yeah.
so do those things, but try them. Because if you're just going to stand there scared of them, you'll never know if you could do it or not. So at least try. Just give it a try. And she's like, okay, I think I'll try. About an hour and a half later, I get a text from my mother in law, and she's like, Your daughter has done everything. She's tried everything, and she has rocked it. And she decided that
Awesome,
she was
man.
going to get up and do every single thing on there. And she came back to me later that evening and she was like, Dad, I tried. I tried
Nice.
it and I was able to do it and I did so much. And so I was really, really proud of her for, because that's what I always tell her. It's just try.
Yeah,
What's the worst that
that's
can happen?
that's great. That's an awesome high, man. Big
How about you?
big applause. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Saturday. So this is actually from 9 days ago. We are recording live during Game 4 as my Lakers are about to lose, but we
Android Braves
are
Dodgers. Hey, don't
yes,
forget about that. We got a
that's
little
true.
personal stake in this high
Braves,
stakes regular season
Dodgers.
game.
Exactly. So last Saturday, my wife came home from work, and I'm normally doing Saturday solo dad duty. And
Sure.
but she had a stomach bug, which I later got 3 days later, or which
Mm.
I then got 3 days later. But
Whew.
so I ended up having solo dad night as well. And
Mhm.
in a moment of haste, I just kind of kept saying, "Girls," and I've got a 3.5-year-old and an almost 9-month old, so one of them
Yeah.
just didn't really understand at
You're
all.
really only
But
speaking to half your audience.
yeah, really just half. So I just said, "Hey, Daddy's got this tonight. We are skipping showers and baths right after dinner. We are going right into our bedtime routines, and then we're gonna do our thing." And weirdly, both girls were asleep an hour before they normally go to sleep. So I
Okay.
had a Saturday
Okay.
night to myself. And
Yeah.
little did I know that what we thought was food poisoning was actually going to become a stomach bug I later got. But
Yeah.
in those 3 hours, ooh,
You were
man,
king.
I watched Fast Nine by myself. I watched a movie by myself for the
That's
first time in like
amazing.
3.5 years. It
I
was it
mean,
was definitely a high.
Yeah, the nights you can pull off like the dad thing that society, let alone your partner, doesn't think you can pull
Sure.
off are pretty great. I had that where I've had a couple nights where I put our son down and he only goes down nursing, right? Like
Yeah.
at bedtime. And I've had some nights where
Hmm.
my wife hasn't been here because I've been like, get out of the house, put him
Sure.
down
Yeah.
without it. And she's like, how's it going? Is everything okay? I'm like, he's been asleep for 30 minutes. I'm on the couch watching TV. We're good.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And
No,
you
that's
just
great, man.
you feel like, yeah, let me
Yeah.
brush the shoulder off there.
Yeah, and then my low, I'm not too proud about this. The other night, I it was my night to do shower with the girls, and the older one wasn't behaving. Kept saying she wanted to get out of the shower, but we haven't gotten the conditioner out of her hair. And in a moment of
Yep.
very uncoolness, I just took the water and sprayed her in the face. Not quite waterboarding at all, but it definitely made her sad.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was a low moment for me because you know I made her sad. But
Yeah.
the shower ended, so that's a low. I'm not proud of it. But hey, we all make mistakes, and I'm at least gad enough to admit that I made one. What about
Yeah.
you?
And
And then we'll get into
so
today's topic.
yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to get it done. And in that same note, we were doing a nighttime cleanup. It was actually the night before my daughter conquered an entire playground. But we're doing cleanup, and it's the normal routine of you got to pick up your toys, right? We got to
Hmm.
pick up the toys because we don't want them all in the floor and all that kind of stuff. And she was fighting me, and she was throwing stuff, and it was just she wasn't having a great time. And in a moment of frustration, I didn't raise my voice. It was the same tone I was talking with you. And I said, hey, you're being a butt right now. Like, and
Ooh.
that's all I said. I said, you're being a butt. And she broke down. She broke
I mean,
down.
that's the hard B, man. That's the
It
hard B.
is, but and I just, it was me venting my frustration, but she broke down. She ran to my wife and they ended up sitting in the kitchen for whatever reason, talking, my wife calming her down because her response was not proportionate to what I had said.
Uh huh.
But my wife gets to talking to her, and apparently that day at school, she had had one of her classmates call her a name. And I don't
Mm,
remember what the name was. It was way lower on the totem pole than butt, and it definitely wasn't something as bad as like poopy head or anything else that a 4-year-old
sure.
can came up with. I
But
want to say
the name.
it was like flower face or something that kind of innocuous. But what happened next is her best friend in class laughed, and that
Oh,
ruined
right.
her day. And
So
so for
you
me
had a
to
little
come
bit
in
of
there,
a little bit of PTSD.
yeah. And so
Yeah,
I felt really bad. I didn't feel that bad about calling her a butt, but I did feel bad that I had like piled on
triggered her.
to, again, it's her trauma. She can deal with that how she wants to. She's 4 years old.
True,
But
true.
I felt bad that I'd piled on to it.
Yeah, you never want to accidentally trigger, but it's also a learning experience because now you
Sure.
know that you might not want to call a name because maybe they were called a name
Well,
earlier, and it's a learning process, but also it's a learning process. Right.
yeah, and figuring out better ways. And I mean, it's something I've always worked on, but figuring out better ways to channel my frustration of like saving it for later.
Right.
Like going and punching a throw pillow later if
Sure, sure.
that's what it takes.
Yeah, I like the pillow scream.
Yeah.
Speaking of pillow screaming, let's get into today's topic. Morning
Ooh.
routines. So how about that transition? Like
Yeah,
we're
right.
pros.
That was slick.
Thank you, thank you. So as we've touched on before, if you're new to us, my wife goes to work Tuesday through Saturday and leaves before the girls wake up. So preschool routine is on me. And once my wife went back to work after maternity leave with our second daughter, it was the first time one of us would be doing drop off alone. So normally we were always playing man defense, but this is the first time I had zone. So I was really been trying to figure out what works and how late can I sleep. But it also depends on when they wake up and just the goal is to get the girls to school by not before 9:15 when my older daughter's class has playground time. Otherwise, she has to sit in the room by herself with like the teacher that stands for slackers or
You
laggers. Yeah, so that's the deal. So that's
slackers.
yeah, sorry, yeah, the parents are the slackers. It gets blamed on the kids. I'm sorry. So that's kind of me setting the stage for y'all. We have now found a bit of a good rhythm in the sense that my older daughter really enjoys helping her younger sister get ready in the sense that she likes to be the one to get all the bottles. We send 4 bottles with our infant to school, get them in her little insulated bag. She likes to also get her spoons because we just started puree solids. And really, she's the one that likes to get her ready. And then she also really likes being told, watch your sister while I get these things done. And she takes as much time as she can to laugh and play and make her little sister laugh. However, there's a lot of aggressive love. So there's a lot of me checking
Yeah,
in to make sure she's not hugging her to death.
yeah.
So that's kind of just where we've been. And I want to share a story um, in a little bit, but it's really just hard when you have to create a routine, but then you
Mhm.
also watch it evolve. What's your guys' morning routine like?
So ours has obviously evolved like yours because we went from one kid to two.
Mm-hmm.
Little less recently than you, but my son is 15 months old, so it's only been a 6 month difference. And I felt like when we just had my daughter, it was a little bit easier. It was a lot smoother because you didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
do all the things like for a while there we had a couple of years where she was as self-sufficient as your older daughter, right? And so she could do a lot of things to like eat her own breakfast very
Mm-hmm.
reliably. But we have ours down like clockwork now. And
Nice.
so the kids wake up. My son usually wakes up between 6 and 6:30. My daughter usually wakes up between 6:30 and 7. It's pretty reliable like clockwork. We do a consistent bedtime with them and they seem to wake up about the same time. But what we've started doing over the past 3 months, which is the time that my son's been in daycare, because we had this first year of his life where it was way more lackadaisical, right?
Right.
Because
Sure.
he was at home with us and my daughter doesn't need to be at school until like 9 or something, or we get her there at 8. I guess we had an early drop off. And so we just have to get her ready really and get a few things for
Mm-hmm.
him to come with me to the gym. But then I'd work out at the gym with him in childcare and take him home. And it's like, I needed a snack for him and a change of diapers. And
Right.
like that could be packed the night before
Yeah.
and it wasn't a big deal.
Basically,
There
the
were no
skeleton crew. Yeah.
yeah, no perishable ingredients, right? Nothing involving ice packs or anything like that. But now we do on Sundays, we prep all of the kids' breakfasts and lunches. So we have
Ooh,
everything
nice.
made for the entire week. My daughter goes 3 days a week, my son goes 5 days a week. So we have 8 lunches and we have 9 breakfasts because my daughter spends the night at my mother in law's on Wednesday night. So we have
Okay,
all
nice.
of those things prepped and ready to go. And so we have these little boxes that we can just pull out. It's going to have like overnight oats and some fruit for them. Or my daughter gets to choose her menu on Sunday. And we've started
That's
having to
cool.
have her, yeah, she likes the autonomy of like, okay, do you want some cereal? Do you want oatmeal? Do you want yogurt? If I've made like blueberry oatmeal muffins or something, maybe I'll throw that in there as an option. And so she gets to choose her menu, and then basically they get their box, they go to the table, and they start eating it. My son's old enough that he can, for the most part, feed himself fairly well. He still uses his hands on oatmeal, which,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
he's still,
Frustrating. Frustrating.
it's just messy. But we've
Sure.
taken him down to he sleeps in his diaper. We have him in that same diaper, and so we just basically wipe him down. He's in nothing but the diaper, and we just wipe him down
Right.
after and then get him dressed. But then after we do the breakfast, my wife's in charge of getting them ready. I'm in charge of everybody's food,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm in charge of getting everybody's breakfast ready. I'm in charge of because my wife is usually out working out um,
Mm-hmm.
while the kids are up and starting their breakfast. Everybody sits down to breakfast around 7. Then around 7:30, She gets the kids dressed while I pack up lunches, get all the stuff in the car, get the kids off. We're out the door by 7:45, 7:50 to get to the gym at 8. So it's pretty systemized, but we've had to do things like absolutely stuffing our fridge because like all those lunches and breakfast take up space. And
Right, they
so
got to go
we
somewhere.
we definitely have to do that, but we have like these little organized bins that's just like, okay, we've got baby boy's lunch, we've got baby girl's lunch, and it's like, okay, I just grab those, stick them in, grab an ice pack, done. Right. And so
So,
that has helped us a lot by not having to make sandwiches, figure out, okay, did I get everything? You know, it's just like, okay, we've got everything contained. We grab the water bottles and we're out the door.
nice. So what you guys have done is the division of labor split into two F's. You've got the food, and she's got the fashion.
Right.
That's what.
Right.
Nice. That's cool. Man,
Yeah.
that's cool. A 2-on-2. I really miss that kind of matchup. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the idea of Sunday night meal prep for the whole week. That's awesome. I tend to make both lunches. When I say both lunches, I mean my wife's lunch and my daughter's lunch each night before school, and then that seems to just be what works for us. And frankly, it's some of the only time that my wife and I have together while she is cleaning her pump parts and prepping the bottles, and I'm doing the food.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those deals where before the morning of is the real key there. It's not like Sunday
Right.
night some magic thing. It's just like we've got things going on weeknights or we don't always feel like it, yada yada yada. So the beforehand I think is the key versus us ending up kicking it to the curb until the last minute and then having to do it in the morning and absolutely scrambling.
Right. So it also sounds like you've also got it down in the sense that you've got stage one and stage two. You've got stage one is food, stage two is getting dressed. For me, it's one of those things where I've got both wake ups. My older daughter wants to pick out the clothing of the younger daughter, and then she has to pick out her own clothing. We've got teeth brushing, we've got going potty, we've got doing breakfast, sometimes depending on when my infant nursed before my wife left, I've got her bottle, and then however long that's taking her, then however much she drank, I have to refill so that she gets sent to school with the full stuff. And then before you know it, an hour's gone by. I really want to say things are done, but sometimes I forget things. And I alluded
Yeah.
earlier to a story that I just wanted to touch on. This was
Yeah.
about 2 months ago. My younger daughter was about 6 months old, just having a rough morning. I'd say 90 minutes of on and off crying, and I
Oof.
was losing my shizzle. And
Yeah.
then I finally get the girls, both of them, ready to go to school. We are at the door, and my older daughter, who I'd say 60% of the time called my wife and I by our first names, she looks at me and she says, "Hey, Ethan." And I say, "Yeah." And she goes, "You're a joke." After I just spent 90 minutes dealing with a crying baby, finally feeling a moment of relief, and she just let me have it. And I had the saddest walk to preschool. And then everybody who worked at the school noticed, even with my mask on, that I looked distraught. And when I told them what happened, each and every one of them laughed and said, "That's so your kid." And I thought, how about one of you just tell me I'm not a joke? But, alas, I've made it another 2 months, jokes and all.
Yeah. I mean, so for us, one of the things that you actually mentioned about your older daughter wanting to pick out everybody's outfits, at one point in our process, we don't do it anymore because my daughter, I guess, has just gotten over the indecision phase and she's gotten pretty good at picking out what she wants. But for a while there, in addition to lunches and breakfasts, we'd have her pick out her outfits for the week. So she was
Nice.
committed to it. It's like, here's the Monday bin, here's the Tuesday bin, here's the Wednesday bin. And that way she has everything she needs and she just grabs from the bin because they're at an age where they're self sufficient enough for the most part to get themselves dressed. So that could be something that you could try to still give her the autonomy to choose, but have them laid out for your older daughter and your younger daughter ahead of time, and that way you're not having to wrangle a kid and get the other kid to make up their mind about how exactly, and you can also, when you're not in the heat of the moment in the morning, you can guide them and say, hey, this is an absolutely atrocious fashion choice. Like, I don't have a lot of fashion sense. Like, I realized about 10 minutes before we
So,
were recording that I'm wearing the exact same shirt I wore on our last recording, even though it was like 9 days ago. But
hey,
I'm a simple
no
guy.
worries, man. Well, we are. This is a safe space for us to be dads.
I,
Spoiler
I
alert:
just
I never showered today, but you know what? I'm here. I put a hat on. Nobody needs to know how terrible my hair looks. But hey, I'm supporting my team. All right. This is a
hey,
safe space.
there you go. I feel like I look like Steve Jobs right now. Just the
Well,
always
Steve
wearing
Jobs
the
would wear
same
a
thing.
turtleneck.
So yeah, but it
Yeah.
was always navy or
But yeah,
black or something.
yeah,
But I got to I'm making a mental note to change it for next time we record, so that the
yeah.
entire feed isn't just me in this navy blue V-neck that I think looks great, but maybe would
You
look a
know,
little
you
weird if I'm
you
always rocking it.
you do You do look good, but maybe you should set up a line of shirts since pants are optional when we do this podcast. You should do a
Sure.
line of shirts where if we wanted to, like, we were having a marathon recording night, we could just knock them out. Shirt, shirt,
Oh
shirt.
yeah.
I even thought
There you
about that
go.
tonight, but we got a bit of a late start. But what I do, and that's a little bit of the behind the scenes podcasting. Yeah, we're totes pros now.
Yeah.
But awesome. Like it sounds like just for us to sum things up and just reach out, us asking for advice maybe, or if you just needed to hear this and because you're struggling with your morning routine, you know, it's a process. It's never going to be the same. Not It's not always man defense. Sometimes you're playing zone. And if there's anything that like really worked for you, kind of like how Alex talked about Sunday prep, both for fashion and food, or
Yeah.
in my case, fighting through being called a joke by a 3-year-old, like you'll make it through. And if you have any
Yeah.
ideas that were like processes that work for you, please let us know. And if this was helpful or completely a waste of your time, please let us know as well.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing you mentioned earlier was watching the process evolve, right? We went through a period of time where my daughter was absolutely terrible at like actually eating her breakfast. She'd just sit there and not eat and not eat and then be like, "Okay, it's time to go get dressed." And so we had a period of time there where we just switched things up, where we said, "Okay, you're up, you get dressed. You don't get breakfast until you're dressed, right?" And we deal with the ramifications of
Right.
if she spilled on herself. But then, and we started translating that to our moms because she sleeps over at one of our mom's house once a week, every week, just something they both like to do. And I really started,
Living the dream.
well, it started once we had a second kid, and it was something they both
Right.
offered. But I think it's just to make her feel like the one and only sometimes, to give her a little bit more attention. But we translated to them. I'm like, if you've got somewhere you're trying to get her to be, get her dressed first and then do the eating, because she's going to eat half of her breakfast and then want a snack an hour later, no matter what. If it's a day that ends in Y, that's what she's going to want. So like get her dressed, because then you're ready to walk out the door at any point and you can just tell her, put the fork or spoon down, we got to go. So there are a lot of ways that it's like, I think we spent way too much time trying to square peg in a round hole, of like,
Right.
this is how it needs to be. We've decided the order, and not like responding to how the kids are. And I'm sure our routine will change as our son gets more autonomy and wants to dress himself, but does a terrible job. Not to mention, like, we'll talk about it on another podcast, but we're probably coming up on potty training sooner rather than
Sure.
later. And so
We'll
it's
also be
just
talking
there's
about
gonna
getting some meals. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because there's a whole host of other issues that come up with other meals, whether that's dinner time or snacks, or just feeling like you're not feeding your kids an absolute trash dumpster every day because that's the only thing they'll eat, and you want them to have enough calories. But
So
yeah.
that's really funny. That's really funny you say that because another evolution of what we send my toddler to lunch. My wife just started calling it our toddler charcuterie board,
Oh
where
yeah.
we have pretzels with something called chickpea butter because preschool is nut free, and it
Right.
honestly tastes just like peanut butter. It's excellent. We've got freeze dried strawberries, so we got our fruit in there. But my daughter loves crunchy, and I looked at the ingredients. It just says strawberry on it, so I'm gonna assume she's getting her fruit. We also have an organic fruit strip from Whole Foods. Not that I'm like endorsing them as a company, but you know what? It's like a fruit roll up that tastes really sweet, but honestly, there's no sugar in it, and it's all whole fruit. And then we got rice cakes, and we got goldfish. So she's got her dairy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we got the baby charcuterie board. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, and we do something similar, but we've let our daughter have a little bit of input, but we send our daughter, it's also a nut-free school. So we just kind of stay
Mm,
away from anything that would have peanut butter. With our son for a little while, we were doing sunflower butter, and we still have half a jar
nice.
of sunflower butter. I never tasted it, but it smelled like sunflower seeds, which I don't mind, but I kind of don't want mixed with jelly on my bread.
Right,
But
right.
she's recently gotten into a thing. We typically do turkey as the lunch meat of choice because we send our kids to a Jewish school, right?
Right.
And they can't have any pork products. So that rules out like ham and salami and bologna and a lot of other stuff unless it's like 100% beef. And then you got to message the teachers and be like, hey, by the way, this is 100%, 100% beef hot dog or something like that. So it's not real
Do
strict.
they
It's just
allow
like, yeah,
do they allow you to mix the meat and dairy in the lunch? It's like, or
yeah,
is it like
there's no
completely
problem with
traditional?
the meat. No, it's like the only rules
Okay.
are no pork, no shellfish, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to send in a toddler's lunch anyway, and no peanut
No,
butter
no
or
bacon wrapped
no,
shrimp for lunch.
yeah, right. And so no tree nuts for the tree nut
Oh
allergies.
yeah,
And that's really the extent
sure.
of it, but it does limit that. So she gets a turkey sandwich, and recently she started requesting your charcuterie board comment made me think of it like no bread, no mustard, just turkey with mayonnaise to dip it in. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need you to have the bread. I don't need you to have the mustard. Just eat your egg yolk
Hey man,
sauce with your turkey. Like,
yeah, protein style. I love it. I love it.
yeah,
We
I guess
actually,
she's keto now, and then she downs like a whole bag of like pirate's booty.
yeah, yeah. Oh, Pirate's Booty, big or puffs as we call them, are big hit in our house as well.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we
yeah.
cycle through. We just recently got last this weekend. We got a big box of veggie straws. You seen these little
Oh,
things? We got
oh
veggie
yeah.
straws.
Oh,
Shockingly, not that much veggie in them. They're mostly potato, but I don't care when I'm substituting them for pretzels or pirate's booty. And my daughter has already down
we
like 3 bags in the 2 days we've had them. I'm
yeah.
like, you're gonna get sick of these, and we've got 30 of them. So I need you to pace
She's
yourself.
She's she's not. My kids been having veggie straws and or chips since for like 2 years straight, and my kid is kind of OCD and anal like me, where she must be given roughly the same amount of green, uh, yellow, and pink ones
There
because
you
she gets
go.
really mad if she's like, why are there only green and yellow? It's like, well, you ate all the pinks when you miscalculated your rations the other day. But that's baby OCD is another topic for another night. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
kids
I
pickiness.
yeah. So Alex, you want to take us home?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. As always, if you have any questions or comments, the best place to leave them is in the comment section on YouTube. So if you're watching this, just drop a comment below. If you're listening, you can find us on any of your major podcast platforms. And you can always
That's
find us
so
on
cool.
social media. We've got the social media handles in the bottom of the show notes here. So if you've got any questions, hit us up on YouTube, hit us up on social media. Our DMs are open. So thanks for working on the Dad Pod with us. Bye, guys.